Welcome to the Middleware Tech YouTube channel. In this series, you'll learn about CRUD using Hibernate. Code examples used in the videos will be available on GitHub. Let's get started.
Okay, CRUD using Hibernate. So create, read, update, and delete. So first we'll try to select the operation read. Okay, read means I want to mean read or first we try to understand read or select. So we'll talk about this read or select. Okay, so and we can use the same. Which code we'll use is that we can use the same code, or you can create another different code as you wish. Okay, fine. Let's start. First approach, one. What I want to select a particular object on the database. So the object is already there in the database. I want to select it from the database. So if I want to select a particular object from the database, so I have to use session dot. One of the method is there called load. Load is one of the method. Using this load method, I can select a particular object from the database. Fine. So load method, I'm talking about load method. Load method will get the details from the cache. Here also lots of things is there. I'll come later. So that means no database hit. First it will select whether the value is there in the cache or not. You try to get the value from the cache first. So how we can get the record from the database using load method? It will take two parameters. First is your actual class, dot class, and you have to use some primary key, right? So using primary key, it is going to select one row from the table. So how we can use the primary key? New, it is a table last day, right? New integer. Fill that table now. Last day I have created one table. Connect. System password is Oracle. DSC EMP. Select star from EMP. So we have used the same record multiple times, right? So we'll do one thing. We'll just insert three different row last day. XML or annotation as it is. So we have used this one example. So let's insert minimum 3 rows. This is the first row. So assume first row is 1218 Naveen. Okay. Control save. So this is the first one. Second employee, Control C, Control V. Second employee, assume E1. Okay, and here you can use E1 dot employee ID is 1019 1219 Nikhil Kumar, and here E1 dot set emp email nikhil@yahoo.com, and you are saving E1. Second object you have saved, right? Similarly, third object I want to save. Minimum 3 rows I want to insert in the database. So E1, E2, and here E2 dot set emp ID, assume it is 1920. Fine. e2.setEMP name, name like Srinivas, and e2.setEMP email srini@yahoo.com and e2. Okay, database table, right? And this is my employee. Okay, so you can write here create drop. So let me check it's creating in the table 3 different row or not. Right click, run as application. Yes, 3 rows inserted in the database. So actually here I've used some different column name, right? Mapping. So use the name EMP using EMP ID, EMP name, EMP email. So it should create 3 different rows in the table. So rows are inserted. So I should get 3 rows. Select start from EMP. Yes, 3 rows came. Right, 3 different name came. Fine. Okay. Okay. Now here what we are saying is load method. So load method is used to select a particular row from the table. So I wanted to select the details about Nikhil. So it is ID is 1219, right? So I can use here 1219. I'm going to select this his database details. So it should return an employee object, right? So EMPLOY employee obj equal to session dot load. Get, and I want to see that whether the details came from the database or not, right? So just print them system dot out dot println is faster obj. It will print if your object contain. So this is the first method. Copy that I'm creating here. So this is already done. This is already done, right? So I'm doing a select, right? So just save this file, save as. For select, I'm using client1. Or if you want to use in the same program, is fine. It's just I'm using the first method. Load. Okay. Now session dot load mismatch convert some problem. Have to type cast with employee. Fine. Done. So I'm painting that obj object. So what is the bean class name employee, right? Employee dot class. Now here I'm printing the object. Now I can print all the details one by one. Obj dot get employee ID. Now what I want is that I want to create one method here to a string so that I don't print all the attributes separately. Right click source to a string. Okay. So I don't have to print. So if I print the object, it will come, right? So right click, run as Java application. So if you see here, so here you do one thing. You can select. Save it. Okay. Okay, so it is already available inside the cache. I think what I have used here is that create. I use create. So what will do? Once it will create, first time will create, right? It will not drop the schemas, not drop the tables. I used create here. So right click, run as the Java application. Values are created and inserted. Okay. Now second time it will not create. So I'm going to disable this. So already there in the database. Tables already there in the database. Employee table. So right click, run as Java application. Okay. Okay. So first time when I'm use this method, get method. If you see when I use this get method, so I can get all the records, right? Right. Okay. Now if you see the records are there or not, database. Select star from MP. Yes. Right. Now the thing is that the load method will get the details from the database. Load method will get the details from the database, and it's visible in the console, all the object. Right. Right. Okay. I'm providing one of the employee ID that doesn't exist. So 1220 1234 that doesn't exist in the database. Right. So right click, run as Java application. So if the record does not exist, then it will throw a particular exception called object not found exception. Right. In case of load. So we can see here that you get the details from the cache. You get the details from the cache. Take the details from the cache. Right. So second point, if no record found, then it will throw object not found exception. Right? So this is the first approach. In the second approach, you can use another method called get. So how this get method will work? Let's copy this, Control C. Second method I'm talking about, the 2. In the second approach, there is a database hit. So if I'm not aware that whether that object is available in the database or not, in that case, you'll go for this get method. How to use this get method? You use session.get. Okay. So in case of get method, there is a database hit, right? If the object is available, you can see the corresponding object. So let me execute the second scenario. Method 2 using get method. Let's disable this. Control V. Second scenario, method 2, and there is a database. Fine. And employee obj equal to session dot get employee, and I'm printing the corresponding object. So right click, run as Java application, and if you see here, we can see the corresponding details that is available, right? So using get method, it's coming, right? Now if I'm going to if I'm giving a particular employee ID that doesn't exist, like 1277, it is not there in the database. So if it is not, it doesn't exist, then I'll click run as Java application. So if it is not exist, if it doesn't exist, then it will return null. You see here, returning null. So that is the things here. So if no record found, then it will return, not return any exception, it will return null. So that is the difference between get method and load method. In case of get, there is a database hit. In case of load, it will get the details from the cache. But if the details is not available, object is not available, it will return object not found exception. But in the second scenario, if the object is not available, then it will return null, right? Okay. Now, if you see this get and load method in both the scenario, how many objects I'm going to select? Only one object. In both the scenario, how many objects I'm selecting at a time? Only one object. Now I want to select more than one object, as we do in Java, right? I want to select more than one object, right? Using collection, right? So how I'll do it, and then in Hibernate. So that's the third scenario. That is method 3. Method 3, I can say, and to select multiple objects, right? So we can write here select multiple object. Now, if I want to select multiple object, then you have to remember, if I want to select multiple object using Hibernate. When you're selecting single object, get and load method is fine. But if I'm going to select multiple object, then I have to use one of the syntax called HQL, Hibernate Query Language, HQL. Now, what is this HQL, right? Last we talked about. Let me see once again. What is this HQL? HQL full name is Hibernate Query Language. HQL full name is Hibernate Query Language. But in database, if I'm going to see the details from the database, I can use SQL, right? So here also I'm using database itself, from database. So the scenario is like this, that here with the help of HQL provided by Hibernate, I'm interacting with the database. But using SQL also I can connect to the database. But if I'm going to select multiple rows, then I should go for HQL implementation. So Hibernate will use HQL to interact with the database. SQL also used to interact with the database. Then how you can differentiate between HQL and SQL? How you can differentiate, right? The first, so if I'm going to select multiple row from the table, then how I'll write in the HQL? So the difference is that first difference is that HQL is Java object, whereas SQL, it is database object. The first scenario. So if you write an example, let's write an example. Let's write an example, then it will be clear. Let's see, here I'm using one, here I'm using one table. Here I'm using one table. The name of the table is what, employee, right? Employee is a Java object, correct? Employee is a Java object. So what is the database object? Database object is EMP. Employee is a Java object, Java class. Database table name is EMP, right? So what I want to mean is that I want to write select star from table name. If I'm writing select star from table name, how will I write in SQL? We'll write here select star from EMP, because EMP is a table name in SQL. But how will write in case of HQL? In the HQL, same syntax, and I'll write from employee. Same syntax I've written in HQL from employee. This is an HQL syntax. This is an HQL syntax. Whereas this is an SQL syntax. Now here, this employee is an employee table that is in the database, EMP table that is available in the database. Whereas this employee, it's not a table. It's a Java class. It's a Java class, the Java class that you have created here, this Java class. So in HQL, if I write from employee, I'm writing from employee Java class of class. Where in SQL, I'm writing select star from EMP. This EMP is a table. It's a database statement. It's a Java statement. So that you're talking about here, HQL is Java object, whereas SQL is database object. As you know, that talked about last time, that using HQL, whatever the database you're going to use, you have to use from employee. If I'm going to select from DB2, if I'm going to select whatever database I'm going to use, I have to always use Java object in HQL, right? So that is the difference between HQL and SQL, and we'll talk about lots of things later. For the time being, since I'm using the select, that's why I'm saying here. So in this example, if I want to select multiple row, then I have to use HQL. How I can use HQL to select multiple row? Using Hibernate, right? So just see here, you're talking about select operation only. Just see here, you're talking about CRUD select only, right? Method 1, method 2, I'm talking about method 3. So here, what you have to do, we have to use one of the API that is called query. Query Q equal to session dot create query. Here I have to use from, what is Java class? Employee. That's it. I have to use this syntax. But from employee, it's an HQL. Right? Okay. Right? So I'm talking about this method 3 approach. Right? Now when the things came inside an queue, then what we'll do? Retry the details. So you can get the details that is available inside a queue we can get the details inside a list directly. How? List equal to q dot one method is there. Really this one, q dot list. So if I use this q dot list method, then I can get all the details. This query object to the list, and when you got the details inside list, already you know, right? Retry the details using iterator. Iterator it equal to list dot iterator, right? While it dot has next. Just return the getting the details using collection. So it at a time it will return only one object. So it dot next will return one object, and that object have to select inside a variable like employee e equal to it dot next. Right. So how to get the details? Since employee already connected to a string method, right? Just print here system route dot println. Like this way I can get all the details. That's it. Fine. So if I just let's execute now. Control C copy, and we'll come inside our client.java. This is a third approach. I suggest everyone to execute it in your system. This is method 3. This is method 3. Huh? Method 3. So query q equal to from employee. So you have to import. Okay. Try to use this not from here. Use Hibernate APIs. Save it. org.hibernate.query. Java.util. Java.util. Take it E1. And you should typecast, as you know, in employee. So it should you should get all the object that is available in the database, right? So let's see. Right click, run as Java application. So the value that I'm going to get from the database is these are the objects. These are the objects. So it's working fine. So the value that is inserted, and that I'm going to now what is going on, and now this time you're selecting multiple object, right, at a time. Now this time we are selecting multiple object, right? Yeah. So this is a method 3 approach. right? Now this method 3 approach, what I'm doing first, from the query, I'm going to create a list. From the list, I'm using iterator, I'm going to return the value, like the method 3, right? A slight updation I want to show that we have another method, Control C, slight up, same things we can update, Control Z, Control. I'll show you the another approach, better than this. Disable this. That is method 4 approach for select. So method 4, I don't need this one, not require this line. And sorry, Control Z. What I want is that that you're getting list, right? I don't need this line, not required. And directly I can get this iterator from this query object itself. Q.query, Q.iterator. Okay, so okay, so here directly from this Q object, it's also providing one method called iterator. Change iterate. Okay. So this is a method called iterate. Earlier it was iterator. This is iterate method. So using this method directly I can get the results without creating the list. So this is the third method, fourth approach. Don't need list, not required. Directly from this Q object using iterate method, you can return the details and you can print. See, it should work fine. Head click run a Java application. Yes, working fine, right? You can get the details using iterate method. So that is the method 4 approach, right? So we should know all this approach, how we can select object from the database, right? So this is the select part, and this from the select part, that is we have used this 4 approach, right? Okay, so anyone want to add some more input here from anyone? Yes, please. Anyone have any queries? Move to the next one. Next one is our next. We'll talk about the delete part first. So delete means I wanted to delete a particular object from the database, right? We're going to delete a particular object. Now, see, the thing is that when I talk about this, all these 3 scenarios on the select. So our value is already there in the database, and you're going to select. That means we are going to select from the persistent state. In select all the select operation, what you're going to do, what you're doing from the persistent state, you're going to get the details from the persistent state. The object you're going to select from the persistent state, right? Using session.get, session.load, or when you're using this session.create query. In all the select 3 scenario, you're going to get the object from the persistent state. Why? Because the object that you're selecting from the database that is available inside this session, right? So you're going to get the details from the persistent state, and then you're going to print it, right? That is for the select. But when talked about delete, see, our focus is object state. That's why I'm saying this. Now when talk about delete we can implement from all the 3 states, like transient state, persistent state, and detached state. All the 3 states we can implement delete. How it is? So if I wanted to implement delete operation from transient state. How I'll do it? So delete means what? I have this employee, right? Employee E equal to new employee. This is my employee object, and I want to initialize an employee ID. E dot set emp ID, and assume what is the last row? 1220. So 1220. Right. So this row I am to delete. Right. So if I if I want to delete this row, so I can write directly here session dot delete. If you are using session dot delete E, so what is going on? Object state. First, how it is going on? First, the object was in transient state. It was in transient state. Now, when you have made it session dot delete, so what is going on? It came in the persistent state. So what is going on here? Persistent to transient, persistent. So what does it mean is that when I'm going to delete earlier object was in transient state, and session dot delete, it will be deleted from the database, right? Where the object state was previous object state was in transient. Now, if I want to delete the object from persistent state, previous state was transient here. I'm talking about I delete the object from the persistent state. How it is previous. So persistent means first I have to load the object from the database, then I have to delete. So load the object from the database. How I need to load? Employee E equal to, let's delete first. Let's complete it first, then I'll do it. It is deleting or not. Copy. So create another method, client.java. No? So let's create another method, file, save as client1.java. So in the client1.java, remove everything. Okay, did it. And put it into not create update. Write update, then right click, run as Java application. Value should be in the database. So it is okay. Unique constant violation. That means value is already there in the database. So leave it. Values are there already in the database. Select to start from EMP. Yes, values are there. Now I need to delete one by one. Fine. Now you want to delete one by one, right? So let's see how we can delete one by one. Clear. So I mean separate method called client1. Save it. Okay. Now here, so if I want to delete one by one all the objects, so what I'll do? Copy this. the transient. Control V. So the subject, this one I have to delete. Let's see it is reading or not. Right click, run as Java application. It's firing on delete statement. Let's see it is deleted or not. Yes, last row deleted. So it is working from the transient state, right? Okay. So let's come to the second scenario. Delete from the persistent state. So in case of persistent state, what we have to do? First, I have to get the object from database, right? So employee E equal to session dot get. So when you're using session dot get, employee dot class, comma, which row I want to say delete. Second, only we have two rows. 1 to 19 I want to delete. So new integer. So what is this number? Number is 1219, right? So 1219, 1219, this one. So if I want to delete this row, first what I'm doing, I'm selecting the row from the database. After selecting the row, I want to delete. So when it's selecting the row from the database, it comes in the persistent state. Now I'm going to do session dot delete E. So what is going on? So the object was in persistent state, and then I'm going to delete it. Let me check it's working or not. Right? Okay, copy and paste it here. Second scenario, Control V. Disable this first scenario. Right? So the second scenario, first I got the details and then I want to delete. Let me check it's working or not. Right click, run as a application. Yes, delete student fired. Let me check the second row got deleted. Yes, it is done. So I can delete a particular object from persistent state. Right? Now third scenario is I want to delete a particular object from the detached state. I want to delete a particular object from detached state. Detached state means what? Detached, already talked about detached state, right? Detached state means earlier the object was in persistent state, but not now. Right? So the same scenario, first I have to select the object from the database. So earlier the object was in persistent state. Yes, the object is in persistent state. Got it from the database. Now which row it is? Last one. 1218, right? 1218. Yes. First I have to put it in the persistent state. Now I have to make it in a detached state. How? Session dot evict. In session dot evict, when you're using E, then the object becomes under detached state. Here the object is in persistent state. Here the object is in detached state. Now the object is in detached state. Now from here I want to delete. What I'll do? Session dot delete. That's it. E. So what I'm doing? I'm saying I'm going to delete the object from the detached state, right? So let's see it is working or not. Select this line of code. Third scenario. Copy and paste it here. Control V. Disable these lines. So let's see it is working or not. Last row I want to delete. Right click, run as Java application. Yes, it's working fine. And let's see. Yes, it's done. Right. So what does it mean? Yes, we can delete a particular object from transient state, persistent state, as well as from detached state. So all these three states I can delete a particular object. Right. So it's done. Yes, please. Anyone want to add any questions from here, from delete part? Anyone want to say anything from delete part? Next one, we're moving with update. Next, we'll move with update. So if I'm going for update, then here also the scenarios will come. We can update the object from transient state. We can object the object from detached state. So let's do one by one. So before updating anything else, let's insert all the rows once again, because none of the rows is there, right? We have deleted all. Let's execute this. Right click, run as Java application. All the rows would be there. Yes, it came. So all the rows would be available in the table. Yes, came, right? Now you have to do the update operation one by one. So just see here, please. So if I'm going for update, so here also the three different scenario will come. First one is I can update from transient state, correct? So if you want to update the object from the transient state, so update it. So same things. So what we'll do here. Employee E equal to new employee. I get an employee object, right? So then what I'll do. So what I want to do some update. That means the record is already there in the database. And what I want to update, I wanted to update Naveen email ID. It should not be naveen@yahoo.com. It should be naveen@gmail.com. That one I want to update. Right, naveen@gmail.com. So I want to update the email ID of Naveen. So if this is the requirement, so first I have to do, what I have to do is that I have to get the existing record first. First I have to get the existing record, what is there in the database, then I'm going to update, right? Right. So first I have to get the existing record from the database. First I have to get the existing record from the database. So how to get the existing record from the database? Employee E equal to new session dot get existing record. First I have to get from the database. Get means employee dot class, right? And new, what is the ID? 1218 new integer 1218. First I got the existing record that is available in the database. Fine. Then I want to update the email ID. After that I want to update the email ID. So update the email ID. What I can use here is that e dot set what is that setter method name? EMP email or what? EMP email. So set EMP email, and this EMP email I want to write it as tell me. I want to use Navin @gmail.com. Earlier it was Navin@yahoo.com. I'm making it to gmail.com. So updation is done. I got the object from database. Then I updated, right? And this update object should be updated in the database also. So session dot update e. So whatever I have updated just now, that should be updated in the database, right? So I got the value from the database. So it is in the persistent context object, right? Where in the persistent context? So where it is persistent context? So I'm doing this updation from here, from persistent context, correct? So let's see it is working or not. Persistent context, right? So let's see it is working or not. Copy and do the update now, right? This is an update. So for update, I'm creating another client class. For update, I'm creating another client class. So file, save as. I'm creating here client 2.java. Client 2. So here we'll do all the updation. Okay. This is the update. Save it. So let's see it is updating or not. Right click, run as Java application. Right click, run as Java application. Check the SQL query. Yes, I think update statement fired, right? Let me see the SQL. Select star from EMP. Yes, earlier it was yahoo.com. Now it becomes gmail.com, right? So it gets updated, right? Okay. Now come to the second scenario. This is persistent. You are going to update from persistent context. From persistent context in same session. Now you're talking about different session. Let's see, one person has inserted the value and another person is going to update this, right? That is also you can do it, right? Okay. Now the second scenario, I want to do the update from detached state, from persistent state. Now I want to update an object from the detached state, from detached state. So how to update from persistent state is done. How to update from detached state, that we'll do now. So detached state means, just now I told, right? detached state means some earlier the object was in persistent state, but not now. That is just detached state, right? Earlier the object was in persistent state, but not now. So you can take the same example. Earlier the object was in persistent state, but not now. So early object, let's take the second example. Second employee ID, Nikhil 1219. I'm taking the Nikhil details. So I got the Nikhil details. So now what I want to update for Nikhil, I wanted to update Nikhil name. For Nikhil, I wanted to update the Nikhil name. So it is not Nikhil Kumar, it will be Nikhil Jha or Nikhil some other name. Okay, so I want to update the Nikhil name. So from the persistent, from the detached state. So detached state is saying that earlier object was in persistent state. Yes, this object is in persistent state. Now I have to make it detached. So we'll make it in detached state. So how to do it? Session.evict. Session.evict. If I use session.evict E, now object becomes detached state. Object becomes detached state. Now from detached state, I want to update the object. So update it. Now what I will do, E dot set emp name, and the name I wanted to write here as Nikhil, something like this. And so now the object you have updated from where? From the detached state. So currently the object is in the detached state. Now I have to reattach this detached object in the persistent context. So what I'm doing now, I'm going to reattach the object from detached state to persistent state. So what I'm doing here, so session dot update, and you can use E. So if I'm going to update like this, so what I'm doing here, object was in detached state, and now from there I'm going to update, right? So let's see it is working or not. Copy. Second scenario talking about detached state. So this is the first scenario. Let me write it really clear. From persistent state in same session. So this is from persistent state from the same session. Control V. The second scenario from detached state in the same session. Right. So talking about the second scenario, let's disable this last code. So from detached state in the same session. So object become detached, and then I'm going to update. Let me check it is working or not. This is for the second employee, 1219. So 1219 means for Nikhil. Let me check it is updating or not. So I think it should work. Yes, it's updated. The Nikhil name gets updated. And this updation is done from detached state, right? It's working fine, right? Okay. Then you have to talk about an update from another state is there. Third scenario. third scenario, from detached state, but in different session. Okay. Detached state, but all see here, person is the same session. Now some other show I can write here from in different session, right? Not from the same session. I'm going to do the update, but from the different session, not from the same session, right? Show how I'll do it. Show, right? So now here two session we are talking about. So first session, let's write it. It will be clear if we write it. First session, I'm talking about this session. Control C. So this is my first session. There is two session. Now scenario is two session. First, this is my first session. So in the first session, I got the object. First session, I got the object and make it detached. Control C. First session, I got the object. The first session, I got the object and make it detached. This is done in the first session. Detached, right? And then I'm going to create a second session. The second session, then I'm going to create a second session. Control C. I'm going to create a second session. Control V. Let's see, my second session is session 1. So if I make it detached, I should close the session. Session dot close. I've insert. I have started transaction, so I should commit the transaction also. Txn dot commit. Done. So first session task complete. That is means for one user. Assume is done by one user one. So user one make an object as detached state. User one made this object as detached state. Which object? As take that object 1220. 1220. So think user one made that object as a detached state in session, first session. Now another session we have created, session 1, and in this session 1 you got the object details. So in the second session, what I'm going to do, I want to update that detached object E. In the second session, I want to update the detached object E. So what I want to do, I'm not going to collect anything. I'm going to update that one. So what I'll do, I can write E dot what I'll update for. I'll update for Srinivas. Let Srinivas mail ID you want to update. So it should be srini@atos.net. Okay. So set emp email that I want to update as srini@atos.net. Okay. So I want to update that email ID, right? Now this updation I'm doing for a detached instance and from user to session. Right, so I added it. Now after updation, what I'll do, you have to call the update method. Session 1 dot update. Same employee, same object. So after that, you should commit the transaction. Ex in 1 dot commit. That's it. Done. So in the first session, We have made a particular object as a detached object. This is the detached object. And this detached object I'm going to update in the second session. Right? Right? So let's see it is working or not. So this is the third scenario. It should work. Copy and paste. Disable old code. Control V. So actually this is one you created earlier. So leave it disabled. Keep it look good. So in the first session, you have made that object detached. And the second session, I have updated the detached object email ID and commit. So what will happen is that this srini@yahoo.com should be srini@arrows.net, right? Let me check it's working or not. Okay, save it. Okay, session is closed. Okay, fine. So do one thing, don't close it. Right click, run as application. Okay, there's some problem here, some coding problem. This is session 1.transaction. It should work. Yes, it is done, right? It's coming error due to some other thing. So if you see that this is in this scenario, it is working. So earlier it was srini@yahoo.com, now it becomes atos.net. So what you have done is that you get the object from one session, first user session, and in the second user session, I've upgraded that same object. So this is an example where we have done the update from different session for detached object, right? So it's working fine, right? Okay. So these are the three scenario for update that you should remember and execute. Similarly, talked about three different scenario for delete, and similarly talked about three different scenario for select. For select, we talked about 4 scenario, right? So this is I'm talking about CRUD using Hibernate. Insert we have done first time. So we're talking about select 3 approach, right? In the first approach, you are using a load method. Second approach is using get method. Third approach, you are selecting multiple row using HQL for select. Then for delete, I can delete an object from the transient state. I can delete object from the persistent state as well as from the rest state, 3 scenario. And for update, we can update a particular object from the persistent state in the same session, detached state in the same session, because I have used the effect method, right? And detached state in different session, right? Update that is also done, right? So we should know how we can do the same things we can do. Now we have lots of scenario will come. Can I use detached state for the select? Yes, here also you can use detached state for the select. Right? Defined session and same session. Okay. Defined session and same session will come for delete also. Okay. A defined session, same session will come. Already you talked about for update. Right. So this is how we manipulate different Hibernate object state when we implement CRUD operation using Hibernate object.